Hey guys, welcome back to another journal here on Animal Crossing GameCube in the town of Otter. This episode is to introduce a feature and something that I'm going to be doing over the coming days, both on screen and off screen, but I wanted to introduce it. So I was just playing earlier and doing another journal, but this one, much like the Islander one, is going to take place on the same day, but it's going to just kind of talk about stuff that's really not special to this day, but just something in general that I wanted to touch because there was a few things that I was missing about. So, first things first, something I mentioned last time that I realized I kind of should probably show off. I've showed off how the item trading works, but with the gyroid, I also wanted to show off some of the other stuff he has in other things, which means you can set a message. So, essentially, this is the message that if you talk to my gyroid, this is what it says, but you can customize that however you want, and I will once I have a project I want to do later down in my house takes place. And then the other thing I want to do is about the door. You can post a pattern on the front of the door, and of course that's the door template, so if you make the red won't show up, but everything in the white will. So of course that I'm just going to keep that template and make something myself later, but you can see that's what it does, and of course that looks absolutely ridiculous. But if you actually made that a nice pattern, like say like a wreath or you know, something else that you like, which I will put something there eventually, but for now it's not. And I think this is kind of bizarre that you put the pattern on the door. Like, it was never put in any of the other games, and 95% of the patterns you make for the door look kind of silly on it, but some of them actually look pretty good, and I think it's just kind of a unique thing they put in this game that was put about that. So yeah, I wanted to show that off. And then secondly, I accidentally deleted all those letters I had earlier. I meant to hold on to them. I'm basically in a couple of these storage parts in the museum, in the post office, I'm just putting a bunch of empty letters in because I'm going to use it as item storage for complete themes that I create, or a collection of items that are not tradable, but I'm still going to keep onto them because you can't order them again because I'm a hoarder in this game. So I've been shoving a bunch of letters in there to allow myself to store things later. Now the other thing I'm coming in here for is I'm not going to talk about turnips yet. That'll probably be this Sunday. But what I am going to talk about is universal codes and how to trade in this game. So I'm not doing a trade with anybody yet. I haven't, I don't check ACC trade boards that much anymore for GameCube, but it's something I should probably start looking at again. But if you go to other things for Tom Nook, there's this whole deal on codes where you can basically, so if I wanted to give something to my character in the other town, I would say here code. I would give Nook the item. It has to be an orderable, tradable item, which is not every item in the game. I give it to Tom Nook, and then he gives me back a code that is specific only to that character in that town. So Mike in Albany can log on, give Tom Nook that code, and then get that item. But if Mike from Corolla tries to enter that code, it won't work for them. And of course, that was a way for you to trade over the internet without having to use an internet connection. It's a very ingenious way. But of course, now people have figured out how that works, and you can go to a website and be like, I want this item, this is the name of my character, this is the name of the town, and then it generates a code for it that you can go talk to Tom Nook and act like it's legitimate, which is pretty crazy that people have worked on that. But there's also just saying a code, or the password. There's also a collection, they're called universal codes, UCs, and they're essentially codes that Nintendo made where it doesn't matter what your character name is or what town you live in. If you type in that code, you will get that item. Now, you can only enter 3 passwords a day. So, there's universal codes out there for just money bags and other things, but you can only do 3 a day, so while you can cheat, it kind of limits you how to cheat. And in this game, that's why a lot of people can do speed runs and stuff in this so easy, because you can just enter a bunch of codes for things to help you complete your way. Now, I am not going to use, if you send me an item, if you're a viewer and you send me an item or I do a trade online, totally acceptable. I'll enter the code and get the item. But I'm not just going to go out there and generate stuff for myself in almost most circumstances. Now, I am going to cache in some universal codes, and you're welcome to use these codes yourself as well, because there's some items in the game that the only way to get them are through universal codes, because they were codes sent out through Nintendo Power missions or through Nintendo Power articles. For instance, there's an entire Mario theme of furniture in this game, and back in the day when you were subscribed to Nintendo Power, you would get your issue for the month, and then there'd be a code in there. And what you would do is you'd be like, oh, I wonder what this is going to get me. It's another Mario item. You'd log on to your town, you'd enter it, and that's what you would get. So there is no other way to get these items in the game. Meaning that if you, like, a character is not going to give it to you as a gift, it's not going to show up anywhere. It's never going to be in a shop. The only way to get this, the Mario set of items, which there's 3, 6, 9, there's 12 items. And most of them are what are in other games as well. You know, they had the Mario items in Wild World but they were given out as DLC from Nintendo, and then they had items, of course, in City Folk you got from the balloons, and then a New Leaf you would get from the fortune cookie. So they brought these back, but this is when they were first introduced, and you were only able to get them. But of course, people have archived these codes now. Animal Crossing community has a thread that posts all of the universal codes for items that the only way to get them is by entering codes, which is, whoops, no, I did that right. I'm trying to talk and look at 2 screens here to get these codes entered. So I just wanted to show that over the next couple of weeks, I'm essentially going to be inputting all of the universal codes in the game for items where the only way to get them is by entering a universal code. So I'm not going to be cheating to get myself stuff, but just for cataloging purposes and for collecting purposes, I'm going to enter all of the universal codes, starting with probably the Mario items, and then there's a few other strange items in the game that you can't get otherwise. Like, for instance, when there's fishing tournaments, I'll do these codes like later when we get closer to that. A Starman has arrived from Nintendo Power. It even tells you. So this, for the Mario Stadium, is a Starman, and we'll go run back and put this in the house. I just wanted to show this code thing. So there's a couple other items in the game that you can't normally get, but if you give the code, then you can get the item, such as the outfits that the villagers wear when there's a fishing tournament. You can enter the code to get them. Again, these are items, you can't get them anywhere else other than entering these universal codes, and that was their sole purpose. Their only way to get those, they were intended to only be gifts that you would get from Nintendo when they released the codes themselves. So again, there's a couple random furnitures and clothing items, mostly clothing, but then there's also a Nintendo bench, and then there's the Mario set of items for 12 items, and then in addition to that, there's NES games. And now NES games are something I wanted to talk about as well, and we're going to play them here in a moment. Now this is special to this game. Your character will actually flash, which is awesome. So that doesn't occur in the other games. So there's NES games. I don't remember how many there are. I think there's like 15 or something. 2 of them, the only way to get is through action replay and cheating, which that's Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers. There's 2 of them that the only way to get them is by scanning an e-reader card from the Series 4, which is Ice Climbers and Mario Brothers. So you would have to scan the e-reader card, and then you would get that as a gift. We all assume that Legend of Zelda and Super Mario were also supposed to be e-reader cards, but they just didn't come out because it wasn't that successful. You know, e-readers weren't the biggest deal. However, those Forbidden 4, as they're often called, they're so rare to get. I plan on getting myself them in a fancy way at a later time just for the purpose of collecting them, because there's no way you can find those e-reader cards online for any sort of reasonable price. And then the other 2, of course, you can only get them by hacking. Then we have Super Tortimer, which isn't really a game. You can actually buy from Crazy Red a normal NES console without a game in it. It's just for decoration. I've never seen that item in the game ever before, but I hear that it's a thing. There's 2 games you get from the island, which I'll discuss that islander trick at a later time. Then there is 5 items, 5 NES games that you could only get through Universal Codes, and essentially they were given out at AnimalCrossing.com. The original Animal Crossing website for the GameCube was called, you can find it by going to like a web archive machine and going way back into like 2002 to 2005 time frame. You can find, it was basically called the Crossing Guardian. It was a little newspaper that would be presented. And in that newspaper, you can go play little flash Animal Crossing games. They'd have tips and tricks, some little information about some stuff, you know, talking about different games and furniture sets and celebrities, you know, kind of the normal stuff you see on the other Animal Crossing sites, although I think it was much more adorable. But hidden on the website over those years, they would have little things you could click on by going to different pages, and it would basically be a conversation that would be like a villager, you know, it'd be like, oh, Porter's sitting there. He's like a little, you kind of miss it in between articles, but Porter's like, oh, welcome back, sir. But if you click on it, you keep clicking on it, you see that the villager and another character are having a conversation, and then he basically says, oh, why don't you play this? We have like a new NES game I just bought. You know, the villager's like, oh, I want to play this new NES game. And the 4 NES games that you can get only by entering universal codes that were given out on the Animal Crossing website are Clu Clu Land D, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, Soccer, and Punch-Out. So those 5 games I'm going to be entering codes with that I'm going to go back on the Time Machine website and find. I'm going to find those codes and get them back. And get those 5 games, because it's the only way to get them. So I'll have 5 more games to my collection now. There is 8 games: Clu Clu Land, Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong, DK Junior Math, Pinball, Tennis, Golf, and Excite Bike. Those are just normal tradable games that you get from, you know, Crazy Red. You'll get from Tom Nook's Lottery. Villagers will bury it. Villagers will give it to you as gifts. They're rare items, but they're just ways you get in the game. And those NES games, I'm not going to cheat to get. I'm actually going to get those the way we can. So, and of course, I got these 2 games at the start with the grab bag, which when you first bought Animal Crossing, you would. Now, you can play all these NES games by connecting your Game Boy Advance to the GameCube, and then you can download the game onto your Game Boy Advance and play the NES game on your Game Boy Advance on the go. But we're just going to play it here in the game. It's going to create 1 block of data on the memory card, and then you'll press L, R, and Z to quit all at once, and you basically go into a little emulator of how to play. And now I think my recording screen went all strange because of the ratio of the screen has now changed. So I apologize for the glitchiness. That's my capture device being weird. I'll have to mess with that to see if that's something to change. So these are the original NES games in their complete form. You can even design your Excite Bike track. And everyone remembers that Nintendo released an Excite Bike download game for free when I don't remember how to play this game at all. I just remember they released that game for the 3DS, and it was like celebrate the release of the eShop, and everyone got it for free or something. I have it on my 3DS somewhere. I played it at some point. So I just want to check out these 2 games because we never actually played them before. So I just wanted to show them both off. We'll play 1 course here of Excite Bike. And you know, the new this is something that's original to especially the original Animal Crossing. And I understand why Nintendo really doesn't bring these back anymore. And that's because, you know, now this game you can buy on the actual Nintendo eShop, but it costs money, so why would you buy this game for free? And I'm really curious to see if they do release Animal Crossing GameCube for the, I'm remembering how to play now, pushing forward. Remembering if the Animal Crossing GameCube gets released on the Switch, on the Virtual Console, are they still going to have the NES games in it, or are they going to remove them? Because it's such a huge part of GameCube for a lot of people, and the reason why I think something they remember. So it'd be kind of sad if they removed it, but I understand why, because it's like, well, clearly Nintendo wants you to buy these, so why would you buy a game that would also give you access to all of them, you know? The other one we got was Pinball, which is another classic. So in the future, when I need extra stuff to show, I'm basically going to show off all of the games at some point. But, you know, like I might use the code. I might show the code for the games. Nice. Oh, I probably won't show off any of the codes, but if you just go to the Animal Crossing community, you can see the codes for stuff. Dang. Freaking chick. You can see the codes for all of them, and I will be showing them off at some point. Or I won't be showing them off at some point, but I'll put the link in my description in one of the episodes if I remember. And you can go watch and get the codes for yourself. I mean, you can just Google this stuff too. But again, I'm not cheating. This is the way it was intended to be. I'm not going to cheat for normal items. But I'm just going to add this stuff to my collection. And once I need something else for another episode, I'll show you all of the NES games at least once. I'm not sure if I'll be playing them very much. But I wanted just to talk about all this so that way I can start entering these codes. Because, you know, you can only do 3 a day. So to get even just like the 5 games takes 2 days and time to input all of those. And then it takes time to do a bunch of other stuff. You know, to enter all those Mario items, it's going to take like a couple weeks to get through all these codes. Nice. 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 Rocking and rolling now. I remember when Animal Crossing Community several years ago, probably now, had a reboot for Animal Crossing GameCube. And they basically had competitions for the high scores on these games. They'd be like, okay, the game today is pinball. And what you do is you have to post a picture of your high score that you earned in the game. You post it on the forums and you would win like you'd win rare items that they would be giving away. So it was kind of cool that they had that. And that was something fun I remember doing. So it's saving this to the SD card, and of course, like I said before, you can download them onto the Game Boy Advance, which I've done before. Or I did it a lot as a kid. Like, oh, I'm about to go in the car. I'll just download one of these games to my flash so I have something else to play. So yeah, that has also been a thing. I think that covers everything. I'm going to go enter my other 2 codes for the day to get more Mario items, and I'm basically be stuffing those Mario items until we get the whole set that I might show off later in like another character's house, something way down the road. But I'm just going to start collecting all this Universal Code items, shoving them into storage for now, and I'll revisit them later as another part. So yes, I talked a lot. You didn't get to see much, but this was more of an informative video to introduce those features and to talk about it. I now think that there's nothing else really new to introduce. I've kind of talked about the features of all the buildings, all the purposes you do. The only thing I haven't shown on camera, I guess, is making a pattern, and then, of course, visiting another town. But we'll be visiting another town soon, because I have Albany, which is my old town that we Let's Played on, I think. So we'll visit that at some point in the near future. And then we have a pattern, which I'll be making probably not too soon. That'll be later. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.